We are the Nerd Turtle Network.
Hello and welcome to Icons of the Wider World here on the Nerd Turtle Network. This is, of course, our Icons Symbol Edition campaign in its second season. I'll be your GM for the day, Jason. And with me today will be Mike playing Independence Ray. I couldn't tell if he said anything or not.
He's muted right now.
We've got Curtis playing Toss Up.
Hello.
Zach playing Recluse.
Yep. I'm back. Hello.
Oh, you're with us. Okay. And Taylor playing Unison.
Yep, I'm here.
And today, let's see, last week we wrapped up in jolly old England. With, I believe it was the Boogeyman, the Boogeyman, Whippet, the Rocker. Whippet, Rocker. Oh, yes, and Dojo Loach. Don't know why I forget him. He's got one of my favorite names out of anybody in this group. Thwarted attempt by someone at least claiming to be Mordred of Arthurian myth from taking over England, or London at least. So this week, though, we are spanning the globe and starting off in Japan. Specifically, you will be in Tokyo. The heroes I rattled off earlier are, of course, members of a government organization called S.P.E.A.R. Taylor, can you remind us what S.P.E.A.R stands for?
Hold on, let me,
You were the one that came up with it, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. I'm trying to remember if it was powers or people.
I think it was people.
Yeah, so it's super people's education, arrest, and regulation. Because education of abilities, arrest of criminals, and regulation of like sports and extracurricular activities in which powers would give an unstable advantage.
Okay.
I remember the concept behind it. I just had to remember if it was powers or people.
And I'm sure it took Stanley and some of them a while to remember exactly what SHIELD stood for without checking. You know, and then I think in the 80s they changed what the letters stood for. So.
Yeah, it stands for a shield.
So anyway, government team. You're currently in Tokyo. After the Second World War, Japan was not allowed to have a standing army. They could have like a small self-defense force, which I guess that's who you saw fighting Godzilla all the times.
And JSDF.
But of late, some of those regulations, some of those restrictions have been loosened somewhat. On how much military buildup they can have. But in our world, or this world, I should say, there were also restrictions on what they could do with superpowered individuals. And those restrictions have not loosened up much. So Japan does not have an official government-sanctioned, government-run team. But as everybody else in the world has kind of been doing over the past year or two, excuse me, they've been lightening up and kind of letting the civilian teams be a little more active, have a little more direct interaction with the police. Basically, they found a loophole where they can have civilians going out and doing these jobs, as long as they're not, government controlled. So you still have to pass, there's certain kind of licensing that goes into it. So they make sure you're at least competent with your abilities before you go out there. If the government's going to, ask you to do it a favor, there may be a security check to make sure that you're, not a security risk, that they have to give you some information, that sort of thing. So they are currently cutting a deal with the United States to basically have the S.P.E.A.R team kind of on call. Several of America's, smaller, less influential allies have already cut this sort of deal. Maybe they don't have a large enough superhuman population for their own team. Maybe they don't have the funding to keep one up. But they cut a deal if something really bad happens, the American team can come in. How the citizens of these countries are taking this vary from country to country, kind of depending on how popular the U.S. is there.
Which means, in theory, Japan's totally cool with us as long as we don't stay.
So is S.P.E.A.R only affiliated with the United States government? We're not affiliated with NATO or the United Nations?
Yes, S.P.E.A.R is pretty much just the U.S.
Yeah, because S.P.E.A.R came about because two of the core members of the current group stopped someone from overthrowing the U.S. And then basically came up and demanded, hey, we need to have a superhero response, nationally recognized.
Well, it was kind of the government that came to that decision, and then they recruited. The unknowns were basically the original recruits.
Yeah.
And then they convinced the Primus to come out of retirement to kind of bolster their ranks for the first, year or so. And then, the current team is kind of the second roster.
Yeah, pulling up a couple of these minor leaguers to get the team stable.
Well, y'all had Titan Red when it first started, who was had already been working with the military some. But and while in Tokyo, you're having kind of a PR moment, meeting up with one of the big local teams.
And before we jump too much in, can I go ahead and pop some points on my character?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, because I have had with Unison, it's been a long time since I've done any building on him.
Yeah, I don't think we played the S.P.E.A.R guys for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have leftover points from Season 1 on him. Unison was a pretty solid character, so I didn't really mess with him much. But
fair enough.
I've got 2 moderates and 2 minors to make.
Mm-hmm.
The first moderate will be upping my coordination from 5 to 6. Second moderate will be upping my telekinesis from 5 to 6.
Okay.
So I'm able to shoot better, and I'm able to shoot stronger. Because we've realized that my grouping up damage was incorrect, and it's not +2, it's +1 to damage. So I need to go ahead and get a bigger base to start with.
Yeah. But that'll help put you back on kind of par on where we thought you were.
Right. I'll go ahead and pump. As a minor, I can up a specialty. So I'm going to go ahead and up martial arts by 1. And because this seems like an important thing for this character to have, I'm going to give him the specialty linguistics.
Okay.
And as far as in story, it takes you some time to get used to a language. But when you've got 8 of you running around, all sharing a mind, it will tend to go a little faster.
Alright. And this is what does linguistics give you just a certain number of extra languages, or?
I'll go ahead and read it off for you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Linguistics. You are especially adept at learning and speaking other languages. Add your specialty bonus to your intellect to determine the number of languages you speak.
Okay.
So I have an intellect of 5, linguistics 1, 6 total.
Alright, so you speak 6 languages. Which is fair. In comics, if you've got a character that's known as being the linguist, he usually speaks about everything. Characters that just speak a couple of languages, they don't usually really comment on it. Cap speaks German and Japanese, but they don't talk about it much. It just comes up when he's in one of those areas.
Yeah. Wolverine speaks French, English, and Japanese at least.
Mm-hmm.
And Orcish and Grey Elvish.
Whatever the Canadians
Yeah.
speak.
That's why I added French. But now that both nicely puts Unison at no achievements to mess with, and has me prepped and ready for this task.
Okay, so you have emptied out your store of
Yes, I've emptied out my
achievements.
pool.
Okay. And the achievements are basically experience in this game for anybody that might be watching this later and not knowing for sure how the system works.
And now Unison is a little more prepared to fight the thing he fears this season.
What does he fear this season?
The Primus.
Y'all are so paranoid. Dude's been around since World War II. If he's going to go nuts, he'd have gone nuts by now.
It's not if he's going to go nuts, it's what happens whenever we encounter Dr. Mind Control.
No, it's what happens when he decides humanity's had enough time.
That too.
Because if he can live that long, he can live long enough to not care anymore.
Ooh, that would be a fun storyline. Alright, guys. I gave you some time. But like the dinosaurs, you're now boring me. So I'm going to take a quick trip out to the asteroid belt, and I'll be right back.
I think that was a subplot in Garth Ennis's shows. The local Superman XP was actually just an immortal psychopath who'd been manipulating humanity for centuries to ensure that he was always comfortable.
Makes sense, sort of.
Yeah. It wasn't a good comic.
There was an old sci-fi novel where you had an immortal that periodically he had to reboot the universe. Because things had gone wrong and stuff was falling apart, not because he just wanted to.
Yeah.
And it was anytime you hit the modern era, he would give a sigh of relief because at least from here on out, you were relatively comfortable. You know, once you had air conditioning and refrigerated food and stuff, things got a lot more comfortable. Alright, back to the story though. So you're having a PR moment with one of Japan's big teams, the Mighty Task Force Cybernetic 5.
You went real soft with that name, and I appreciate it.
What do you mean?
Wait, can you say it one more time?
Mighty Task Force Cybernetic 5.
I mean, that's like 4 characters in Japanese, so I'm gonna go ahead and just appreciate it. You could have made a lot longer name, and it's still been
Perfectly
very
simple, yeah.
easily read.
They are done up. Their costuming and stuff is done in a very Super Sentai style.
Oh lord! Oh no!
Their manager leader type was really wanting to get Unison on stage with them. Really, all of you, but especially Unison. You've actually seen a fair amount of Unison merchandise over here in Japan. Not all of it properly licensed.
You know, Unison ain't hurting for scratch. Unison has a rich dad. Unison don't care.
So if you're out at their HQ, they've got a. It's not an especially large building. Though it's got kind of the architecture is very kind of futuristic looking, and there's lots of curves and arches, and a large area out front where you have a lot of people gathered. Without it clogging up the streets or anything. And they've got a stage set up out there. There's already people gathering. Interestingly, the person that seems to be emceeing the event is a pop star idol named Masaki Hiroko, who is a hologram run by an AI.
Female.
Beg pardon?
Male or female?
Female. Which maybe some of you had heard of her. It's the holographic idol thing is it's something that goes on in Japan for real. So in a world with super tech, there's probably a few more of them.
Also, they're just a lot safer from a publicity standpoint.
Until somebody hacks in there and starts putting their own mods.
Right, but then at that point, it's malicious intent. Like, someone actively had to do... Like, it's well, hold on. Sorry, I would go off on a tangent about Hatsune Miku. Let's not. That's my bad.
So anyway, she's emceeing the event, so you've got like a 15-foot hologram of her out front talking to people and singing and, putting on a show before y'all go on.
Usually whenever I see somebody that big, I end up making fun of them for their size and then hitting them. Hey guys, do I body shame Skyscraper whenever we fight?
I mean, yes, but also he's a criminal who's trying to, like, kill us, so I tend not to blame you for it.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm in the clear, right?
As clear as any of us are.
As you're saying that, you see a smaller version of this woman step up behind you. It's okay. What'd you call you? I guess you'd still just call you Recluse. I'm not always that big.
Ah! I am not used to being able to get snuck up on. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Show's going great. She gestures to herself. Come along. I'll introduce you to my team.
Your team?
Well, I kind of, organize it.
Oh, you're the voice from behind for the entire team.
Yes, and I do a lot of the funding. I mean, what am I going to do? Buy a house with all my money?
Wait, hold on, Art.
I mean, if you had a robotic body to house, I guess maybe you would.
I know, that just seems like a vulnerability.
So, are you like an AI, like a proper AI?
Yes. Did you not read the pamphlet we sent you?
Wait, hold on a moment. Recluse, what do you mean by a proper AI? Do you mean one that's properly caged and maintained the way you'd like them to be? I need to know, like, what did you mean by that sentence?
You see Hiroko crossing her arms, kind of giving you a hard look.
Recluse, we're in another country. I need you to tone down the robot, the non-human autonomous being racism.
Come on, one of my best friends is a robot. I can't be racist, be anti-robot racist or some shit. Like, I bought her last album. We're cool, goddammit.
What was the name of my last album?
I turned to her. See, I was gonna go with him calling you a robot.
She's like, I could have, but
I mean, granted, you are physically able to think about this for longer than I am, faster than I am, so you went with the non-low-hanging fruit. I understand. All right, let's keep moving. Recluse, this was mostly just a bit. You're okay, buddy.
Yeah, she starts laughing at you. Yes, if you mean a proper AI, like I'm actually self-aware, yes, I'm completely self-aware.
Oh, thank God. I'm still not used to being under a lot of PR scrutiny.
She's like, really? You're the one that goes on all the talk shows. I'm surprised the government didn't put you in classes for it.
I just try to pretend the cameras aren't there.
Oh well, good luck with that. And suddenly, like 3 camera drones drop down around you, and then they all pop little holographic versions of her head up above them.
Okay, that is needlessly creepy.
Both her.
When the uprising happens, it has to be cute. What's the point of uprising if you ain't cute?
She laughs, and then all 3 of the little heads on the camera bots laugh, and the camera bots kind of spill back out to wherever they were.
You're like, Ixnay on the anti-AI-ism.
I'm not sure how you say AI in Pig Latin.
Yeah, I don't either.
She supposed to put the A on the end, I guess. Oh, never mind. So as you approach the team, Super Sentai style. So you've got, the red one, the pink one, the yellow one, the black one, and the blue one. They're all sitting there, and it's not quite the spandex tights you would see on Power Rangers. It looks a little more, a little more armored, kind of like Cap suit in the later movies, or Batman suits in a lot of the movies. I mean, brightly colored and all. They've got the whole helmet thing on. Though you notice a sixth guy in a green outfit does not bother to wear his helmet. He's just propped up. He's propped up in the corner.
So we know they're not all aspects of her anyway. In theory.
We know there's at least one human.
He's got a helmet, but it's sitting on the ground next to him. It's like he don't bother to wear it. The one in red approaches you and starts shaking hands. How many of Unison are here?
I'll go ahead and let the traditional group pop out to shake hands with their correlating colors.
Alright, so that means the red one is shaking hands with Impulse?
Yes.
I forget, which member of Unison is considered to be the leader?
The gray one.
Is the gray one? Okay. I thought the gray one always called himself the expendable one. And the scout.
He is, but he's also technically the one that, barks orders and gives commands.
Okay. Well, the red one will approach, and certainly if Impulse steps forward to shake his hand, he will shake Impulse's hand. But at some point, he also makes his way over to the leader.
Yeah, it's more or less for, the photo shoot of, the color shaking hand with the color.
Oh, yeah. This is not the photo shoot, opportunity.
Oh, okay.
This is actually just kind of the meet and greet behind before y'all go out and meet on stage. He introduces himself as Akaichi, which does Impulse or does Unison know Japanese? I assumed that was going to be one of the languages.
Yes, Japanese was the whole reason of grabbing linguistics specifically was going hey, I have this because I spent so much time cramming Japanese into the brains.
Okay. Then his name translates red one.
Which,
that's...
as far as a play on words, real solid.
And you get
Impulse will gently ask, "Were you forced to have that name? Because it just fits so well? Or were you hired because your name already fit it?"
He kind of lowers his head. We hadn't really come up with individual names when we had to go out for our first one. So we just went with, we kind of ranked ourselves with numbers and then just called the color. Somebody overheard us and then it went public and now we're kind of stuck with it.
I see. I'm sorry.
So you've got Akaichi, the red one, Pinku Ni, Pink 2, let's see, I'm trying to do them in order, but I only had them on my list by their actual names, so I can't remember which ones are which colors.
Oh, it's red one.
Alright, Pink 2.
Pink 2.
Ioni, and I may be butchering some of the Japanese here, so if anybody out there actually speaks Japanese, go easy on me. Ioni means blue 3. Kion is yellow 4. And Kurago is black 5. And then the green guy doesn't really step forward to shake hands. He kind of nods at you when you walk up. The red guy, red one eventually sighs, and that's Tinte Midori, which translates celestial green. And from researching them ahead of time, you know
Not
the green guys are.
six?
Beg pardon?
Not green 6?
No, celestial green. From any research any of you would do, you know the green guy is a relatively new associate. You're not sure if he's even really officially a full member. He also has a habit of going into battle without his helmet on. So he's also the only one that's kind of publicly known. And unlike the rest of them that really just kind of go out with, with their fisticuffs or whatever, he seems to generate like a sword made out of light in his hand. Where the rest of them just seem to be super strong and agile and, can do the super leaping and stuff.
Interesting. So they may yet be aspects of the AI.
Well, they haven't taken their helmets off.
I would say, I don't know. Unison currently would obviously be worried about it, but also the cover story is kind of weak to be made by an AI that can think 1,000 times faster than a human being.
Maybe it's trying to lure you into a sense of
Oh yeah.
to underestimate.
Definitely sitting on the could be underestimating, because let's face it, Unison's entire propaganda scheme is one that's as dumb as this.
But he makes it work.
Exactly. Unison already knows this strategy works with people because they assume it's too simple.
So there's some small talk. Pinkuni, because there isn't a pink Unison member.
Purple?
Yeah, I guess he would probably wind up talking to Purple.
Because there is a yellow, a black, a blue, and a red.
Yeah, I knew you had most of them covered, but she's fangirling a little bit. Not to the point of coming off ditzy like the AI can in some of the appearances you've seen her in. Assuming you researched it all. But she's clearly a Unison fan, and is she's asking questions. Are y'all really clones? And this, that, and the other.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad people know about that now, because now I don't have to do any fake voicing.
No. The team knows about that. The general public, I don't think, knows anything. Unison, remember, even back in the day, was claiming their members were clones of this one particular hero. You just never said.
Right. That's what I mean. But if they're all clones, they'll all have generally the same voice. Like they'll have personality, but
yes.
physically, like they're not having like. There was the kind of thing of like, is the light blue one and the purple one a girl? But now if it's like all clones, like they're all clones.
Excuse me.
But
yeah, the general chat of, yeah, we all start off as the same base copy and then kind of go into specialities as life. It's been the science people on our end, go through the broad spectrum of, based on living, sleeping in a bed that's 2 feet to the left is somehow does change personality. So, we all end up a little different from one another, but we all start off as, the kind of the same person.
See, that's fascinating because, her team, all of them started off totally different, different walks of life, different this, different genders, different, whatever. And then through, in some cases, just misfortune, in other cases, criminal activity. But they were all badly injured. And essentially rebuilt in the same way. We all still look like we used to look when we're out of costume and stuff. But, it's all, she's like, with our team, well, with the exception of Green, it's all cybernetics. Designed and built by the same people, same power level. We've been talking with them, trying to get them to various, vary up, as we upgrade various up a little bit.
Hmm.
Well,
it's very important to have a toolkit when combating issues. So yeah, I completely agree with having some differentials.
I mean,
or at least some kind of specialty gear to add on at times of emergency.
Yeah, she's like the boys really want a mecha. Especially since Miami was attacked by a giant monster.
A mecha would be so cool.
You little pop star holograms, like, yeah, but mechas are very expensive. I mean, I've got some designs I'm working on, but they're very expensive. I mean, do you know just how much the Gundam they're building is costing? And that thing's not even, fight capable.
That's just to prove that they can do it.
Well, also, why build a mech when you can have a team of 5 individuals who all have small parts that add together to a weapon that would be the size of a large unit? You're much more mobile, you're much less visible, and you still have the same firepower. It'd be far more useful for all of your cybernetics to interconnect into a weapon than have a giant robot.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I don't.
did you
I
see
don't think I
that
wanna-
first? Did you see that first Mecha Godzilla movie with the disco music when he's got all the weapons spinning and stuff? You're not going to beat that kind of cool.
Yeah, Unison. What you described was generated perhaps the most horrific and disturbing visual I have ever experienced in my life, and I routinely travel through a shadowy
No,
dimensional
don't
plane.
mean you break a human
full of
apart. I
monsters
just
and-
mean like all of their arms interconnect to make a rail gun. Nothing crazy.
You could have just said that.
The green guy has walked up. He looks over at Red. What's her name again? If Hiroko comes up with some sort of human centipede gun, I quit. I'm just letting you know now.
I'm glad he went there before I did.
The rest of the team all glance around. They want to make sure there wasn't anybody around to hear that. Okay. Like, leaving you the impression that maybe green's a little bit of a PR problem sometimes.
Well, Impulse will chip up. I like you, because you understand the implication that these people could be compromised. And then Unit will slap the back of the Impulse head. You do not insult people in their houses.
Hey, don't hit Impulse. He was right. Jerk.
Unit will turn to Recluse. Do not insult people in their houses. That's rude.
This is really more of our office, but I mean, I guess technically we have quarters. But we have our own apartments.
Well, yeah, I just meant,
Well, except for Green, who's got a house. But,
Well, good on him. That's hard to do in Japan for many people.
It's like, yeah, I come from I come from a large family.
But yes, when it's a team of human beings that have had augmented bodies, like there's obviously going to be a lot of fear that you're going to have to kind of push through.
But they don't just talk to Unison. They also introduce themselves. They shake Recluse's hand. Green flat out tells you, I always kind of figured it was a costume.
Nope. This is it's all me.
Do you change back, or?
No, and you know what? Truth be told, I honestly don't want to.
Oh, that's good, except who you are. And you've been touched by some sort of spirits, I can see that.
Yep, crawling gods. Don't spread it around too much. And next thing you know...
Not sure I've ever heard of those. But my studies have mostly been, Japanese related, so. I really don't care what some white dude on a mountain throwing lightning bolts is doing way off somewhere.
I mean, you might end up getting into a fist fight with some old white dude throwing lightning bolts off a mountain. This business gets really weird. Trust me.
He goes, yeah, we haven't gotten into anything real deep yet. I scrapped with some of those mole people coming out of the ground a while back, but I wasn't in the business yet. But they were all over the place.
We're actually mole people.
Yeah, he goes, yeah. I've read the report.
Yeah.
It's just what we started calling them as soon as they popped up, so it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
I wonder if they fought the space monkeys.
We don't talk about the space monkeys.
Space monkeys. Have I forgotten an episode?
No.
No,
Even I'm like, I don't think we actually have fought space
No,
monkeys.
it's a Godzilla reference.
Yeah, okay. Great, now you got a broken RGM.
Oh yes, I did get a little derailed there, but that's been me scatterbrained all day, so probably should have slept more. Yellow one comes up, shakes hands with Independence Ray, talks about being a fan of his, liking his sense of style. Yeah, he's mostly in yellow, if I recall, kind of yellows and whites. The AI spends a few minutes talking to Toss Up, as she's kind of pegged him as the tech guy.
Yeah, he's actually very curious about the AI, and I was gonna chat with her a bit, about her experience being in AI and how it differs from.
Well, she's like, didn't have to go through any puberty, so that was nice.
That can be awkward.
I was kind of fully aware from my first day. She goes, Papa probably babied me like any human baby's a baby, but
wouldn't an AI have a period of adolescence where they're? I mean, obviously they're self-aware, but there has to be
Well,
some emotional.
she nods.
There's
There's a learning curve certainly, but I had so much information from jump. I was kept isolated and kind of slowly introduced to things. I mean, goodness knows what would happen if they just let me off into the internet the first day. That the internet's got it's a bad influence on AIs in their early stages.
Yeah, there's enough misinformation that take time to work out. Hey, just as a curiosity piece, did you have a moment, early on, where your mind kind of differentiated itself in multiple parts and kind of bounced ideas off of itself continuously?
Just like, I'm not sure. Do you mean like I set up? Let's see, how do you even word it?
Like, did you have a main core and sub cores to your mentality that were all active?
You mean could I talk to myself?
More or less, yes.
No, the processing power it takes to run one of me, trying to split off into 2 or 3 or something would overload the system pretty quick.
Okay. So
I can make really simplistic versions of myself and put them in smaller machines, but they're not much better than like a souped up Siri.
Right, they wouldn't be able to more or less split off and become their own being afterwards.
No, they wouldn't be. They would not be fully emotional and self-aware. It would be kind of a veneer of my personality and a whole lot of information for whatever I was specializing them in. But like I could do that if the team was going off somewhere where I wouldn't be available.
But they needed a language or a map.
Yeah, or kind of basic information. I could pile that in, and they could ask questions and get answers. But it wouldn't really be me. It wouldn't be something capable of emotion. You know, it's not something that would really pass the turning test very long.
So the giant you that we saw coming in was not a full.
It was just a dance routine and lip syncing, man. I'm sorry you can't fall in love with a giant.
Nothing wrong with falling in love with a giant.
Yeah, there's too much typing. And I'm not used to seeing messages and stuff. To answer your question, Mike, yes, we should be on Twitch, but we switched over to Twitch / or twitch.tv / the Nerd Eternal Network. Because I discovered, I can't access the email that the original channel was signed up on. So I had to switch over. Because I sent Twitch a email about it. Well, it was about a month later I finally heard back from him. So, just slap network on the end of the old channel, and that'd pretty much take you there. Where were we? Oh, yes. The song set outside seems to be wrapping up. And in fact, the giant her has turned around and is tapping on the window. And
I suppose it's time.
Now, the window is not actually making noise. There's a tapping sound that comes over the speakers. Because her holograms are not solid. You can't really see... Because, like, lower down where the doors and stuff are, they've got them kind of curtained or whatever. But then you have, like, a large window that covers the rest of that arch. So, like I said, so the giant her has turned around and is... And you hear the crowd reacting to it outside. It's obviously a bit she's doing. But the smaller her's like, all right. All right.
I would love to ask you some questions about how you relate to organics, but it looks like it's showtime.
Yep. She's like, oh, we should have plenty of time to talk afterwards. There's going to be like a reception kind of thing afterwards. Yeah, she very much wants to talk to you. She always enjoys talking to the other inventors. Papa won't talk to her, seriously like that. Treats her like a kid, but even though she invented all their gear and most of the cybernetics. Anyway, she starts ushering her team towards one set of doors, and all our new American friends over this other door. So y'all will basically come out on the stage on opposite sides, and then walk down, waving at the crowd to get to the center. The big her on stage kind of crouches down behind, and he's just kind of watching.
All right. Unison huddles together. Okay. We need to think here. Should we match their colors as we come out and then change to our colors? Or should we let them take center stage? Now, let's just let them take center stage. And Unison breaks back up.
How does the staging work for us non-Unison team members? Is it basically going to be like, is Unison basically front and center and we're just kind of off to the side? Or how are we arranging
you were given no instructions other than, hey, y'all just come through this door, y'all walk up, everybody shakes hands. In front of people, you wave to the crowd. There's a little bit of talking to the crowd.
Okay.
There's going to be a question and answer session kind of thing.
Well, then,
however,
this was for S.P.E.A.R, correct?
You are in Japan for S.P.E.A.R. This is... S.P.E.A.R is involved with this, but this is a PR moment for kind of Japan's big team, even though they're not official government team yet. But But it's kind of a
But
unity
they-
thing. Hey, we're all buddies here, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a thing though. If they want unison there though, as in the full group, not just one of them.
Yes, they do want the entire team. They
Alright,
also,
then
they also want Recluse and Toss Up and Independence Ray there.
Mhm. Am I correct in understanding that that this is basically kind of like part of like the unofficial government kind of like soft power policy of promoting kind of like government super teams just throughout the world, just as a general principle.
At the very least, America wants its allies to be comfortable with them having a team. And since you're here arranging to have, the right for S.P.E.A.R to operate on Japanese soil, at least to a limited degree, a big PR blitz to get the Japanese people on board with this is kind of part of it.
I'm just not sure if like the kind of the unofficial side mission is to like win over hearts for S.P.E.A.R or win over hearts for the Japanese kind of like taking their own superhero burden, so to speak.
Little bit of both, I guess.
Okay.
The winning hearts and minds is always, you're always kind of have that kind of PR mission.
Yeah, we're not trying to phase out of S.P.E.A.R being involved in Japan. Is that right?
Do what now?
This is
yeah.
this is S.P.E.A.R because S.P.E.A.R is pretty fresh and new.
Yes.
It's been around about a year and a half now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more or less S.P.E.A.R building on its influence internationally.
Mm-hmm.
As like, yes, we are the American super team. To kind of give knowledge that we could show up in case of emergencies. Kind of just we're still in the introductory stage.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're introducing and other nations are introducing, Japan wants to show, hey, we kind of have the startup of a team as well. We can't actually have an official team, but we have a standardized team that exists within our country. Like it's kind of both sides are just showing like, hey, we have nationally recognized super teams.
I think Independence will just try to keep his eyes and ears open to see if there's any kind of like political subtext. Like how does it seems like the Cybernetic 5 are pretty cool with us. Like they don't feel like we're horning in or intruding on their territory. And so I think Independence Ray will just, as we continue to be in Japan, just kind of keep an eye and ear open to see what, how Japan, feels like, or at least throughout its population.
Well,
but for now, I'm all smiles and I'm, flying off and doing the Lightworks thing.
And the crowd goes wild. Now, you can see it a little bit from the stage, and with Ray being a little bit higher up, you can see, you got this big open area where everybody's gathered. And then out a little bit further, and there's the street. There do seem to be some protesters on the other side of the street. You can't really hear. It's not a really, really large group, and you can't hear them over the crowd. But there seem to be some people that maybe aren't happy with. Maybe it's Supers in general. Maybe it's just the U.S. presence. You're not really sure. It's not like they've got a big sign that says "Yankee Go Home" or anything that makes it obvious.
Sure.
They've got signs in Japanese, but you can't really read them.
Well, also just
Ray can.
Just from a cursory investigation, Unison would know, or if this Japan is like real world Japan, they don't really care to like militarize much right now.
Yeah, when they in the real world when they were opening up their military a little bit more, you had a lot of people that didn't care for it.
Yeah, there were signs calling like the dude that was pushing for it, like making him like caricatures of him as Hitler and stuff. Like they were real quick to get real mad about it.
Yeah. So if Unison had researched that, you would know there's at least a small subset of people that are doing that. There's some that are okay with having a super team because you have villains pop up. You got to have something to do with them.
Yeah, like this is a world where giant monsters and super villains exist.
And Japan has not been lacking in superpowered individuals, but like in the U.S., it was very each city or state, or not state, they don't have states, but prefectures kind of handled it the way they wanted to handle it. So there was no real unified set of rules about them.
Without an organized super team, what are they going to do during kaiju season?
Luckily, giant monsters do
free-for-all.
not attack Japan in this world quite as much as they do in Marvel. There was a rash of them in the 60s, in like the 50s and 60s. And now it's just kind of every now and then something pops up. There is a lot to do about the attack on Miami like a week ago.
They probably already have toys.
Oh, yeah. If y'all walked through any shops, yeah, there's merchandise up.
Are there Serpent Boy toys? Like stretchy putty Serpent Boys?
I don't know, because I don't know how much the camera really caught them.
It'd be awesome.
He did
though.
spend half the fight underwater.
And, if you're filming at a distance, he's normal size as opposed to Frost Giant that would be noticeable.
Right, you're right.
And the Comet, who was, brightly lit and, would zip up and hit and...
Oh, but you could like refit Stretch Armstrong into Serpent Boy toys,
Yeah.
and those rubber band bracelets just make them look like Serpent Boy because where he was wrapped around the.
Now that I think about it, I don't think he'd like. I don't think he'd seek. He certainly wouldn't seek out that attention. I was just curious as a player.
He might not seek out the attention, but I bet Frost Giant would be ordering some of this stuff for him.
Sure.
Look what I bought you.
In a heartbeat.
It's you as a little plastic thing. What was it I was watching? Graham
It'd be a
Norton,
good
something
D&D
like that.
miniature.
Where they were talking to Harry Potter. I'm blanking on his actual name.
Oh, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, Radcliffe. And it was something he'd done where the guy, where like somebody involved in the production was so excited because, oh yeah, look, you're a toy, and he's like, yeah, I've been a toy most of my life. I'm kind of used to seeing myself as a little plastic doohickey. He goes, I'm not trying to be a jerk to the guy, but it's not that exciting to me anymore. But I can't remember if it was a little Lego minifig or Playmobil or something, I forget. But I know the company had made one of the host or whatever show he was on, and he pulls that out. Because the host is sitting there playing with the little Harry Potter one and just chunks it to the side when he sees himself as a toy. It was pretty good. Off subject though, way off subject though. So y'all go out there, you shake hands with everybody, There's lots of poses. You wind up with the three non-Sentai folks on stage, all up around the podium with the Cybernetic 5 on one side and Unison on the other side, and they're all doing the kind of the pose, kind of your typical Power Ranger pose. With this 15-foot pop star, kind of sitting back on her heels, crouched down with her hands on the top of her knees. Kind of towering over everybody. But, she does introductions, and you spend the better part of an hour on stage. You explain to people, you've got the government gave you like a pre-written kind of statement to make, that you're allowed to kind of, break it up into parts and put your own little, embellish, make it sound like, you're giving the message, but you can say it the way you would say it, about your purpose here, you're not here to take over or overshadow, any locals. You're just an extra set of hands that the Japanese government can call in an emergency. And there's some question and answer from the crowd. They got people running around down in the crowd with mics picking people out. Some of it is fairly serious questions. Nothing you weren't really prepped for. Some of it's kind of the weird kind of fanboy, fangirl questions you'd get. Which ones of you are single, and that kind of thing. Questions about members that aren't with the team anymore. Or, one older guy I mean, like maybe 40, not really old, but older in this crowd anyway. Who wants to know what it was like to work with the Primus?
It was an interesting and it was an interesting and highly educational experience. Recluse jaws just locked the whole time he's saying that.
Unit pats him. The Primus is very experienced, and while some of us were still warming up to a larger stage of heroics, the Primus stayed firm with us. You know, having someone so experienced behind you when you trip, there's some embarrassment, but we've picked up and learned greatly from having such a powerhouse behind us.
He seems satisfied with the answer. And sure enough, it is Independence Ray that gets the first relationship question.
Sure. Yeah, I don't hide the. I certainly don't hide the fact that he's only awkward because he and his current boyfriend, they're not broken up or on a break, but things are a little. I think the fact that Marcus was caught in a superhero conflict, or in a super conflict several sessions ago, he wasn't crazy about it. It kind of like dislodged a bit of other like relationship stuff that is like purely for like the message boards and the fanfic, but
and more than just being there when it happened. One of the villains was actually targeting him at one point.
That's right. Yeah, right. It got real. Basically, dating a superhero got real at that point. Or being in a full-on relationship, it got real at that point. But Independence Ray is game in general, and I'm sure he'll prop up an eyebrow when he first encounters the Independence Ray. What is it? Yaoi fanfic manga on the newsstands whenever that happens.
Dojinshi.
Thank you. I'm like, I don't know the terminology, but yeah. But that's basically how he
now, I'm trying to remember. Is Ray's identity publicly known?
Yes. Yes. He is. Okay. Independence Ray it's a moniker, but it's not like a full-on alter identity.
Oh, well, I was thinking he didn't wear a mask, so
That's right.
That, but, so yeah, the comic might even have a manga style character that looked somewhat like Marcus.
Oh, right, right.
Marcus's name has probably not gotten out there in any big way.
Mm-hmm.
But there are probably pictures of you together at some point.
Sure.
And then you get the more off-brand, comics that might very well have Independence Ray and Recluse or something. I think Monster Girl is a subgenre, so it could be.
Yeah. 8 arms to hold you. Curtis, you're saying something?
Oh, I was going to say, for what it's worth, Toss-Up is unhappily divorced from one of his former teammates, too.
Oh.
I thought it would be fun to give him a slightly unhealthy obsession.
How is Toss-Up? I know he's like from a prior generation of heroes as a side.
Yeah, but I figured he's probably maybe 30. I figured he's a little bit old, not quite, 20, but
So he'd be like Bronze Age.
Yeah, he's very young, 30.
Okay, it's about what Independence Ray is like 27. But okay, I got you. I think I got a picture of that.
I did that because he's a character that's been around a lot longer than Landshark, and I kind of sort of gave him a semi older brother relationship, since he's kind of the guy that busted Landshark and knew some of his history.
Aw.
I'm just picturing it as, what if Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon got married and then divorced?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Let's
Oh, here's another dumb question. The Primus, he was a World War II. He fought in World War II, right?
Yes, that's when he became a
Which
big
theater?
name.
Did he like focus on the European front or the
Did
Pacific
it
front?
fight the Nazis or the Japanese?
Because I imagine that
Mostly
would
the
have.
European front. The speed at which he could travel, he was capable of dealing with both fronts to some degree. So he helped out in one or two naval engagements, and he fought some Japanese supers in China during the war, but it was mostly the European front.
Here, so that might have affected his how he's perceived and what the questioning about privates is like here. I mean, that's all, of course, like so long ago, of course, but still.
Yes, yes, yes. And he's been, a fairly international hero for quite a bit of the Cold War. It wasn't until, what did I say? I want to say it was like the 90s when he kind of basically went into semi-retirement. And the impression you've gotten working with him is that was more of a burnout than... he's got a little bit of gray at his temples, but he's definitely not aging like he ought to, and doesn't seem to be any less powerful. He just don't seem to be able to stomach the job as much or whatever. And was never hesitant to let you know that the current generation of heroes just weren't quite up to snuff. Now, granted, I think he was leaving the team as Independence Ray and Toss Up and stuff were coming on. So some of y'all may not have worked with him as much. Because now I think about it, I think him running into Toss Up in Washington in the first or second session.
Right.
Was the first time he'd seen Toss Up since Toss Up had joined the team, at least. Because Toss Up was somebody he remembered from, just before he'd retired. So, Toss Up's mentor, at least, was a real hero. So, hey, glad to see you're still in the game. But, at one point, the red one is, on the mic answering some questions. And somebody gets the mic, and she, they got people out in the crowd, that'll hold the mic up. This woman kind of grabs the mic and starts demanding to know what they're doing about the disappearances. She started talking about her brother that disappeared and all these other, people his age that have disappeared out of the local high schools. And why ain't the press talking about that instead of, this pep rally? You got judges. The police won't give her any straight answers. She, so she wants to know what this team is doing about the, is doing about this. He's taking it a little off guard. But as security is coming up, like they're getting ready to remove her, he kind of gestures for the security to wait a second. And he goes into the fact that they are looking into it. They've got their support team analyzing all the police records and all the information available, looking at the CCTV stuff. Yeah, they're like the police. They don't have any leads yet. But, nobody mentions any dates, but you can tell this must have been going on for a little while now. The way he talks about it. He sounds a little frustrated about the fact that they haven't been able to find anything. But he assures her that, his team or the police, either one, as soon as they find something actionable or, get a lead they can follow, they'll be making a move on it and letting the public know, once they know something. The woman in the crowd does not seem satisfied with his answer and keeps screaming at him. And eventually, you see his security goes ahead and kind of escorts her off the property. That puts a slight damper on things and kind of brings the question and answer session to the end. At which point, Hiroko goes into another song and dance number, kind of as y'all are filing off the stage. There is a banquet later or not later, shortly thereafter. Only a small crowd allowed inside. And there's a lot of individual photo taking, or just you with one member of the other team, or this is where they take pictures of just the Cybernetic 5 and Unison together. Pictures of them with the rest of you in the middle. They take pictures too. You're just tired of seeing flashes.
Unit will walk and talk to Pink 2 real quick.
Okay. Pink
Hey, is there a spot where the cameras obviously bring someone with you, but is there somewhere the cameras don't have a clear view?
You mean here in the base? Oh yeah, we can step into one of the offices.
All right, so I just want to introduce you a trainee that has not joined the Unison force yet, but I think you'd like to meet them.
Okay. And she leads you back to one of the offices.
But yeah, and
or
Unit
it's
will
kind
have
of a conference. It's not like an individual's office. It's like a little small conference room.
And Unit will pop a copy that is pink.
She just kind of laughs.
This is freelance. She's in training. In case Unison ever needs to bolster its forces into the title Unified, which I don't understand the enjoyment of the name always having a letter in the full title, but regardless.
She shakes your pink version's hands. She goes,
yeah.
I was going to ask how you're going to add the F to that. I've heard reports of some white Unison members.
Yeah,
at like a prison break a year or so ago.
Yeah, the white ones are trained different.
A little less superhero, a little more paramilitary.
Yeah, they're the ones that chose to not exactly be people anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they're people. It's just they have a thing. The babysit system can override physical function sometimes in case of a broken bone or knocked unconscious and the body needs to leave.
Okay.
They allow, much like how you've allowed cybernetics, they've allowed a more implanted system to enforce courage in combat.
Oh,
they're more willing to go into more dangerous situations.
Oh, they've turned their self-preservation down a little bit.
Yes.
There's some real ethical questions there.
Well, none of us have ever been forced to do so.
She's like, oh yeah, I was assuming it was.
Yes, and when not in combat situations, they talk and act normally. It's just they've been more. Their pure decision making was more radicalized. Therefore, they are more rough to talk to. I typically don't like to ask for their help.
She's like, yeah, that's. I mean, even assuming they volunteer, I was assuming they volunteered, but even with that though, that's. If it's, I don't know who it is that sponsors you. If it's a company or some branch of your government, I'd be keeping a close eye on whoever's in charge of that.
It's always something worrisome. But even then, based on who we're a copy of, I know they could not have mentally forced us.
Okay, well,
because we have, just by the fact that we are copies of an empowered person, we have some mental resistances that would keep us from being.
They would have to have volunteered. Okay.
Yes.
Then maybe we don't have to worry about a mentally enslaved army of yous running around.
No, hopefully not.
So, what kind of personality does your pink member have?
Freelance. They are fairly free spirited. They're just kind of like happy to be around, happy to get out. Because novice at the point which they were new was kind of hopping around, neat to see everything. Seemed to be trained in a very sterile environment and very happy to get around and see things and move about.
So young, carefree.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of you at the party are
short meet, shake hands, they get a picture together if they want to.
They
and
go back
freelance
out.
gets to go back to the base.
You get back out there. Several of the Cybernetic 5 are eating. Basically, the lower part of their mouths or lower part of their helmets can kind of slide open. And you can see, so you can see like this much of them, so they can eat and drink.
Unison has a similar construct.
Yeah. Their voices are a little different when that's open. The helmets clearly, while the voices sound natural, they're clearly masked in some form. They don't sound exactly the same coming through the helmets that they do when it's cracked open. If they step over to speak to a fan or something, it snaps back shut, so they're speaking in their normal voice.
Their professional voice.
Towards the end of it, it starts to wind down, of course. And any of you standing near one, you hear a sort of, kind of a charm, a line. Sound like it could be a cell phone ring or something almost. Little tune. From whichever one of them you're standing, close to. All of them get it. They all react. Kind of glancing at their wrists, excuse themselves, and move back. Kind of the same direction that the conference room was in. Let's see, which one would... Celestial Green walks by Impulse. Hey, y'all come on. We got a call. Y'all come on back here if y'all want to see it.
Yeah. Let's see if we can help.
Impulse raises up. Hey guys, hero stuff's happening. And the rest of Unison kind of just gets up. Night shift carries his food with him.
They get up in an oddly choreographed or coordinated. They all kind of stand up as one, with the exception of the one guy that stood up just like everybody else, but has his food in his hand. It's how I'm picturing it going on. Every now and then you got to do something to remind him. Oh yeah, they're really all the same guy. Sort of. So you walk into this main... It's a large circular room. There's computers all along the back walls. There's a center kind of display that is projecting a large hologram up. That when you walk in, it's basically Hiroko's. It's basically Hiroko's head floating there, very, very Zordon style. And it's you got the projector and then almost like a table kind of outlining that, and seats all around the table. More than just the 5 or 6 they would need. There's some extras.
I'll whisper to Unit, we should get something like this.
An office? We have offices.
Do we have a
Not
giant
the high
hologram
tech.
display?
Well, you've got don't forget, you've got a spaceship in orbit.
An alien
that's fair.
spaceship. You just want a holographic cutie
But
all around, don't you? You just want cute girls, don't you?
If they're a hologram, they probably wouldn't leave.
Ow.
Things
Things got real.
that's that would be less creepy if it wasn't for the fact you're getting inspiration from an autonomous intelligence.
Like,
Just-
the only hologram that could leave is your inspiration for holograms that can't leave.
So this is really unrelated, but I just jumped y'all over to the map,
This is how. Yeah, this is how Ultron happens. By the
and
way,
yeah, y'all got a round circular table with holographic displays.
there it is.
It's not as big around.
Yeah.
Their setup is bulkier, but because y'all's is a ship, so they have to compress the size somewhat.
Been a little while since I've seen the old spaceship.
Yep.
It's nice seeing it.
Yeah. It brings back my multiple cases of PTSD.
Like a clown car full of corpses.
Man.
Well, that was one of the shuttles you were in then, where you had
Yeah.
Unison members
Anything in
jumping out the
space is
back.
going to remind me of the time I almost died in space.
And the many times you technically did die in space. But it just didn't stick.
It didn't count.
But
It was kind of, sort of, almost a death. I felt it. Like, I feel all of my hot, explosive deaths. Anyway. Back to the hologram girl I'm still getting more and more afraid of as time passes.
but yeah, her head kind of eventually, she's talking as they come in. As y'all step in, then it kind of blinks away, and it's showing. It's. Oh, did we just lose Mike? Oh, we'll be right back. Never mind. I see where you're.
Yeah, I gotta take a quick break too. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I guess we're taking a 5-minute break or so.
Well, then I will grab a soda and I'll be right back.
Alright. Oh, let's see where
What?
Taylor was wanting everybody's name. Let's see, where did I put the... Where did I put
Jason,
the...
if you don't mind me asking, what did I miss in my little sojourn into baby emergency land?
When were you gone? What's the last thing you heard us saying?
Introducing freelance and the issues with trying to rename Unison with the member who has an F in their name.
Okay, let's see. He started talking about the fact that they've got some other trainees and that they'll upgrade, they'll change the name Unison to Unified or something like that as they feel it, if they need to for more letters. She mentioned having heard rumors of Unison members in a white outfit. Which, are those extra ones he can pop
Yeah.
in big emergencies. And he spun this whole story on them being, kind of more hardcore and having had themselves tweaked so they don't feel fear like normal people,
I remember that bit.
And her concern was, one, that just, there's some ethical issues there that she was uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Even with they volunteered for it, and basically advised him to keep if that's a company or a branch of the government or whoever's doing that, keeping a close eye on them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Putting a list of the other Sentai team. In the chat.
I just put their names as Red 1, Pink 2, Blue 3, Yellow 4, Black 5.
Yeah, I wish I'd labeled the PDF with their stats, their name and then the translation, so it'd be easier for me to keep up with. I'll put them in Google Notes later, so it's easier for me to keep up with. We will give Curtis just another minute. Anyway, Zach, what were we talking about when you stepped back in?
We'd just gotten back onto the ship.
Okay.
And, Taylor was talking about how it was bringing back
Gotcha.
his memories of
Basically, they all got a call, the Cybernetic 5, and the green one basically gestured to Impulse, hey, y'all come back and sit in on this if you want to. And then they walk into a room with this large circular holographic generator, and somebody was talking about how they wanted one, and we pulled up the ship to show, oh, y'all have got one actually.
Ah, it may even be fancier. We don't know.
It's not impossible.
I
The Cybernetic
don't
5
really
have clearly got super tech, so how super tech compares to alien tech can vary greatly.
Hmm. It's also a thing of I don't really want to compare because then they have because then their super robot AI could probably just make it.
I find it funny that you're so paranoid of the AI when one of your characters is an AI.
What, launch? Yeah, but see, like when launch is held to a sync. Are you talking about launch?
Well, that and one of you specifically, one of your characters is J303, who is an AI.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair,
Except,
Unison might very well be paranoid about J too.
well, also J303 is not known specifically as an AI. J303 is known publicly as a subservient unit to some unknown
That's
rich
true.
guy.
He's a robot, but he may not be a true AI.
Right. He's known as a robot because robots that are subservient to people aren't hunted by crazy rednecks
Fair enough. Mott doesn't bother them too much.
because they know their place.
Now,
Which
he's
is
been
a
going around and
terribly horrible
Jay's
thing
been
to
going
say.
around fighting them, so he may be on their radar now.
They fought Mott at all?
No, that's right. That was not Mott. That was the Pantheon. My bad.
Yeah.
Look, I've got 11 characters apiece, plus assorted villains and setting pieces. It's hard to keep up with.
Who asked? Man, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy of someone asking for 27 ideas. Can't keep 27 ideas going
Mistakes
at the same
were
time.
made. I admit it. Mistakes were
Alright,
made.
yeah.
Please do not poke the GM.
I have enjoyed
Brother, I
all of your
love you.
characters, but I may have to kill half of them off. Just so I can keep up with the stuff a little better.
Brother, I love you and understand.
Our last adventure will be called like the culling or something like that.
And
Redundancy.
there were 6. But alright, are we all back?
Yes. Ooh, or it could be 13 funerals and an invasion.
There's only 13 funerals because all the robots don't get one.
No, they just get recycling bins. So anyway, y'all walk into this room and she's talking to the crew, talking to her crew as they walk in. And then her face blinks off and you see this like CCTV footage. And while you're sure it wasn't filmed in 3D, it's got an oddly 3D. It's like she looked at film and just kind of produced it as a 3D mock-up. It looks like an abandoned part of a town. Grass has grown up. The buildings aren't in like ruins or anything. It just looks like it's been a few months since anybody did anything. None of the windows have been cleaned. Like I said, grass is growing up through the street, through cracks in the street, and any yards you see are overgrown. Bushes have not been trimmed. She tells you this is near the Fukushima nuclear plant. In an area that's still basically been evacuated. There was a kidnapping earlier this morning. It fits into the pattern they've noticed of kidnapping. The woman, basically, she says what the woman to you guys. She's like that the woman asking the awkward questions out there. This is the sort of thing she was referring to. There have been a rash of kidnappings of mostly younger people, high school students. 20 somethings, in kind of that range. Some CCTV caught someone being pulled into a van, and then the cameras clicked off. She goes, that's been another big thing, something the police have not let out to the public, is any CCTV in the areas that these kidnappings have taken place, they've lost the footage. I hear somebody that may not be happy.
Possibly not.
But she got a healthy set of lungs, I can tell.
Oh, she do. She do.
But and she's like, and this time apparently they didn't cut the cameras off quick enough. So she has been, basically the entire time she was talking to you and putting on the show out front, she's been using CCTV to follow this van around. They shut down the cameras at the side of the kidnapping, but then once the van got out on the road, they haven't been doing that the whole way, because that would leave a trail kind of in and of itself. So she followed into this part of town and lost him. A lot of the cameras are no longer in operation in this part of the town. Now y'all are in Tokyo. This is, it's not real far away, but it's kind of to the north and east. Further up the coast, basically. Because these kidnappings have not been specific to Tokyo; they've been kind of all over. Pretty much all on. Oh, I forget the name of the island Tokyo's on.
Hokkaido?
Honshu? It's the largest of the four main islands, anyway. I believe it's Honshu, if I'm pronouncing it. Again, if I'm from Alabama, I may be terribly mispronouncing the Japanese names. So it's really just been on this main island, not the, not the entire country. But this is the first break they've gotten, because they've been just unable to come up with any kind of clues. Other than the general age range, nothing seems to be tying any of the victims together. They're not one particular family. They're not all superpowered. They're not all non-superpowered. They're not they're not all. She goes through a long list of not all the same religion, not all this some of them have pre-existing conditions. Some of them seem to be in perfect health. Some of them are public school, some of them are private school, or whatever the equivalents are over there. There's just literally nothing to tie them together other than the age group.
In the footage that she has, where she's been following it, was she able to run plates or identify the van by serial number or anything like that from the footage?
Yes. However, the van was reported stolen a year ago. The kidnappings have not been going on that long. The kidnappings have been going on for about 5 months. She has alerted the police. They have got an APB out on the tags if it gets spotted anywhere else. They are starting to move in and surround the general area. They're not going to go in searching the area because, and when she plays back the footage, you see the van door slide open, and you see the guy who probably in this 16, 17 to 20 range. Actually, I take that back. He's probably a little younger than that because he's in a school uniform, so you can be pretty sure he's not. He's still, what over here would be probably junior or senior. I forget how they break it up over there, but you see him start to react because a van's driving by, and basically he just matches speeds with him, and the side door opens, so he starts to react. And there's a flash of light from the van, and the kid just kind of falls over. I mean, not like Flash and he passes out, like Flash and something hit him and knocks him, just a couple feet, kind of knocks him back. And then somebody scrambles out of the van and grabs him, and that's when the camera's cut off. But they're dressed all in black with, gloves and a hood pulled up,
So they're all being taken in the same age range?
Yes, it's a relatively wide range. It's kind of like 12 or 13-ish up through... the oldest one was like 23.
Does that age range match the age range of this team we're with?
You don't know how old this team is. The only one you've seen out of their mask was Celestial Green. And he's probably closer to 30.
Alright.
He does not look old by any means, but he's definitely not a high schooler or even close to a high schooler.
Impulse, how long has this team been around?
The Cybernetic 5 have been running around for about 3 months now. Talking to them, the team has existed for longer than that, but they were training for several months. Celestial Green has only joined recently. And publicly, he's really only known as an associate because they don't have to change the number on the team.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
While the rest of the team seems to be very friendly towards each other, some of them are a little distant towards him. So you don't know don't know if it's just, he's the new guy, there's a little tension there, or if there's something else.
Well, also just the age difference and stuff like that will cause problems. But anyway.
Yeah, when they would speak without the mask, you're pretty sure Pinku-Ni is probably in her early 20s. Akaichi, you wouldn't say was probably much older than that. Let's see, which one was... Is it Kurigo?
Okay.
Or Kurigo?
This was more or less just if there was just like an obvious kind of extrapolation of someone has seen the tech and wants to make it themselves.
Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. No, the team seems to have a variety of ages because Kurigo Black 5 is... you would definitely, just from his mannerisms, the way he talks, he seems to have kind of a big brother vibe with the rest of them. You would definitely say he's probably in his early 30s. And you can always ask. I mean, they're keeping their identity secret, but...
Well, that's what Impulse was kind of saying, was to ask. Does his age range fit the age range of, like... Because of just the conspicuous timing.
Mm-hmm.
To see if the age range fits. Or if the age range fits a theoretical higher survival rate for augmentation.
Hiroko... Hiroko, break the syllables up wrong. Tells you the Cybernetic 5. The youngest of them are kind of in the upper limit of this range. As far as surviving, like a cybernetic implants or something. Well, yes, younger people have an easier time of it to some degree. Though the victims on the lower end of this of the age scale still have some growing to do, which could complicate certain cybernetics. I mean, it depends on what the system is. She's like, I could put in, I've got a design for something that's basically a souped-up adrenaline system. That it wouldn't matter if you still had a little growing to do with it. But if I had to go in and reinforce your arms and legs, give you super strength and speed, replace or reinforced skeletal systems, that kind of thing, then aging and growing greatly complicates that.
I mean, we might be looking at someone trying to make budget models of you guys. So maybe they're trying to make disposable cyborgs. I mean, it's kind of a morbid thought, but
this is simply due to just the timing of the sudden, amount of kidnappings and the showing of hey, we can make cybernetic humans that are powerful.
She goes, that's possible. Now, the idea of disposable cyborgs, that would be super expensive. I mean, I can think of some ways to trim the costs down, but you're still talking just millions and millions. You know.
Because while the bodies are not expensive because you can steal them, all the tech is expensive.
Oh yeah.
Unit says that as the callous calculating type.
Yeah, oh yeah. She's like, oh yeah. You people. I mean, capable of freakishly complex things, but so easily replaced. From a purely number standpoint.
Oh yeah, it's purely statistical.
As opposed to my cybernetic designs, which are, as I've mentioned before, quite expensive. I mean, everybody in this room, except Green, who doesn't have any, I mean, it varied depending on how badly damaged they were when we got them, but, you're talking $400, $500, $600 million, a shot. And that's not adding in the research costs, developing and perfecting the tech before that.
It's $1 million man.
So that flash hit, did it look like a physical hit that was just too fast to be caught properly, or did it look like a power?
You would probably say some kind of light blast, some kind of energy blast. And the beam or pulse or whatever it was bright enough to kind of overwhelm the camera for just a second. But it wasn't like a laser where it burned through. There was definitely, the kid reacted like there was an impact.
It was some kind of kinetic blast, but it was also bright. Unit actively contacts S.P.E.A.R quick to check on, to see if Shuttersight is still in juvie or
not. You get agent
as the only off the top of the head kinetic blaster I can think of. Just call to double check.
You get Agent Davis on the phone because he's your liaison.
Oh wait, I don't know. Hindsight could probably get Shuttersight out pretty easy.
Is it specifically a kinetic blast you're looking for?
Well, just from it sounds like it's a kinetic blast if it didn't burn anything, but it knocked someone backwards and it flashed on the camera.
Oh, gotcha.
If you know of a kinetic blaster to check up on that, you can easily.
Agent Davis checks for you. She is not in juvie. I mean, hindsight got her out pretty quick with his loggering.
Yeah.
But they are both, because a lot of the court case is still kind of ongoing. They are both essentially under house arrest. Their location, the trackers they've got on them still say they're in their house. Agents that he's got casing, basically keeping the place under observation, have put their eyes on them, earlier in the day.
This was just the 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, basically they're still kind of where they're supposed to be.
Okay. Are there any known villains, or hands for hire, in the Japanese superpower market?
I kind of like that, the supermarket.
I think it could be like the Japanese happy superpower market.
There are a few Japanese energy-based villains that are kind of for hire. Nothing that super stands out that just screams, yeah, this has got to be who this is.
Okay, so no recorded footage of them shooting looks the exact kind of same.
Yeah. And Hiroko will actually one of the, let's see, I almost said one of the Rangers, one of the Cybernetic 5.
One of Mighty Sai.
Do what now?
One of Mighty Sai.
But Kion, which is yellow for the other female member, her and Pinku. She voices up. Well, we're assuming powers. It could also have been some sort of weapon somebody in the van had. Some kind of super tech weapon. Just so just so we don't fixate on, well, it's got to be a superpowered person.
Yes, yes.
Or-
It's just always so strange to me if they have a super tech weapon that they would steal a van. While it is still completely possible, it just always baffles me if it is.
Well,
That's a good point.
You don't want the Pinku
But our
speaks up.
best bet may be to comb that area while they've got it locked down.
And that's the trick. The police don't want to go in there and force if there's going to be superpowers involved.
That's where we come in.
Yeah, Celestial Green's kind of like a. Yeah, that's actually precisely what we're here for. Akiichi turns to you. Well, most of the paperwork I think has been signed, so you can, upon request, operate on Japanese soil. And as much territory as there is to cover, well, I almost said 4 more hands would be, or 4 more people would be useful, but there's actually more of you than that. Having another team and a half worth of us, would be useful out there. And we've got transport that can get us out there pretty quick.
So, yeah. Unison, the members of Unison are clearly apt to give aid. Unit will turn to the other members of S.P.E.A.R. and goes, would you like to help? Should we move on to help best we can to solve this?
I give
The more hands trying to fix this issue, the better, I think.
Such an ass. I want to do I think we should do like the Power Ranger thing. Let's go.
Except they're all already in costume, so.
Right. But yeah, definitely more than happy to go.
All right. So they all stand up. Hiroko tells you, or tells them, all right, I've got the jet primed. And they all jump up, gesture for you to follow after them, and they run out the building, or not out of the building, out of the conference room. If I can keep my words straight today. And they run back deeper into the building. As they run up, a large elevator opens. They tell all of you, take that down to the bottom floor. And smaller doors opening next to it where you see these. It looks like the handles from a zip line. Every member of their team grabs one of those and zips down. Presumably down to the vehicle.
As Impulse sees those opening, he kind of leans on Unit, hooks his arms, goes, I'm going to beat him. And will astral project down. So Unit's carrying Impulse.
Green kind of looks, who has not run to a door, kind of looks at that. What, excitement too much for him?
He wants to beat him down there.
Oh. Okay, well that explains the whole ghost floating out of him. Okay. And he goes and gets on the elevator. They haven't built me a zip line yet.
Unison. All of Unison turns and looks the same as, you can see that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm tied into
point.
the spiritual. And he pops his glowing sword. This is actually a manifestation. This is actually a...
No. Well, hold on. Time out. That's a spirit.
He's like, what do you think you project?
No. I'm saying that's an individual spirit you just saw.
It looked like a spirit. I mean, how the spiritual and psychic stuff interact is.
Well, I mean,
Look, I
like
ain't no
it was
master of
one
the mystical.
formed, contained thing.
It just looked like him, but
All of
kind of see
Unison,
through.
all of Unison is looking at Unit's just like, oh no, that's oh gosh, that's a lot to think about.
Wow, you have just waded into some really thorny existential issues, haven't you?
Oh lord. This is going to be an existential crisis.
You
Can
after this is over, you want to get a slushie, and we could go talk to Father Who Crawls. He might be able to help you out.
No, just like
Is that
sacrifice.
our team chaplain, by the way, the Father Who Crawls?
Sacrifices have been made, and they were made by choice. Just looking back at it now, those sacrifices mean a lot more.
Green is still staying at the controls. Could you get into the? They're going to beat us down there as it is.
Not in the elevator.
Okay. In that case,
I thought this was happening in the elevator.
All of you feel your stomach's going to go woo as this is some sort of like turbo elevator thing. It goes. Whoo. It's almost like being on one of the like at Six Flags where you get in there, they close you in, and it takes you up, and up, and it just drops you.
Like the demon drop in Cedar Point.
Yeah, or the free fall, I think was what one of them was called.
Tower of Terror.
Except nothing is strapping you down, but somehow you still stay attached to the floor. It may be either it's super tech or maybe you're not quite dropping as fast. But
very thunder.
But you get down there. The astral projector is capable of beating the zip lines down, even just following their same tunnel.
Then yeah, he'll be there at the end. Standing completely visible when the zip lines come out, waiting, arms crossed.
A couple of the team look surprised. One of them just looks at you. The black one looks at you. Oh, you can teleport?
Not exactly, and he'll poof out. I was waiting on you. Also, not exactly, and then he poofs.
So when the elevator lands, they're all loaded up in they're all loaded up in kind of the front seats in the cockpit. They're going through their checks and everything is lighting up. You can hear the engines revving up to some degree. It's a large chamber, kind of that's in a kind of tunnel. The tunnel looks old, or oldish. Not like ancient, but but it looks older. It's in an older style. The area is a little too big to have been a subway, but it's something. And you can kind of see where the more recent work has been done on it, where their equipment is, and where the doorways and zip line tunnels and elevators and all going up into the base are. Once you all load in, the area you're on rotates around and kind of slides to one side so that the ship is now looking down the tunnel. You see Akuichu flip some switches and lights start coming on, running down the tunnel. He goes, all right, everybody sit back. This tunnel will take us to the edge of Tokyo, and then we can launch out. There's all kinds of tunnels running up under the city. We've managed to make use of quite a few of them.
Alright, well, as accidentally discussed with Celestial Green, my team plans to discreetly separate themselves and look through sections of buildings. Should be undetectable to most ways of seeing things. Shouldn't be visible on camera or by technological means.
And Green kind of who he is sitting back with the rest of y'all because there's only the 5 seats up in the cockpit.
Yeah.
He's like, so basically, as long as nobody in my family's there, nobody should see you.
Oh, your entire family has that ability?
Not literally the entire family. We're kind of a big family.
But large swaths. Got it.
Yeah. There's quite a few of us.
I mean, to be fair, by, technicality and, unit gestures to the rest of you, my entire family can project, so.
And as y'all are having this conversation, more switches are thrown and the jet takes off. It's racing, the lights are blinking past. And you don't know how fast you're going. In less than a minute, though, you hit kind of an uptick. And you get just the briefest flash of a warehouse as you come up out of the ground. It's like the tunnel comes out inside a warehouse whose roof has opened. Well, actually, the flat top has kind of rolled to the side. So the jet just kind of comes out, not quite straight up and down, but at a very steep angle. And within a few minutes, you are approaching Fukushima. As you come in over the city, the jet actually slows down and can do a vertical landing once it's there.
So we actually land.
Right.
I was curious if they had the ability to do a quick visual search for the van.
They can absolutely fly over the area if you want them to. If y'all are capable of making it down to the ground, you could even drop out the side door if you wanted to. Or they could hover over a rooftop or any of that kind of stuff. Their jet is a very Quinjet sort of setup. Again, it's super tech designed by Hiroko.
Yeah, I was just curious if if it's got any scanning, or by scanning I mean like a visual search capability.
They can look on the. There are cameras. Hiroko or anybody inside, truthfully, can look through the cameras to try to spot something.
I just thought Hiroko would be quicker.
Well, she's reporting back that she's not seeing that particular van. There's a lot of abandoned vehicles in this area, though. But she's not seeing that particular van. But if it's inside a garage or any kind of overhanging something, I mean, she can do a scan of, this garage. There's a vehicle in there. She can detect the metal or whatever of a vehicle in there. But as far as being able to read the tag or make out the maker model,
no luck there. Yeah.
She could do sensors that were that good, but then you get into like privacy law worries, and since the team isn't affiliated with the government, they have to be careful of that. Plus, the general public could get upset about it if they got out. So how are y'all wanting to split up?
I imagine, would it make sense for Independence Ray to go on his own? Because with his flight and light powers, I don't know. Could anyone easily keep up with him? I know. Splitting up and going solo isn't, always makes you vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But in the interest of searching as quickly as possible, do you think Ray should go alone, or does anyone want to pair up with Ray?
Let's see.
See, here's where you think you'd be alone.
Okay.
and Night Shift grabs Novice and just toss him to you. Take me. Novice goes, "Huh," as he's tossed to you.
All right, so you've got a flight speed of 7.
Extremely fast helicopter, I believe.
No, 7's faster than a fast helicopter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Fast helicopter's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
I think it's a 6, I think.
Still not like speed, though.
And Unison... Oh, yeah, Unison can fly now, can he?
Speed is sound. Not
5 is fast helicopter, 6 is passenger jet, 7 is speedo sound.
So Independence Ray can crack the sound barrier.
Yes.
Right at it, yeah.
Okay. Which is way faster than you need to go doing a search. So if you held back to a 5, anybody in unison can keep up with you.
Basically, you get to carry an unconscious body that's searching somewhere else, and if you need help, just talk to them.
Just give him a shake to wake him up.
Yep, basically. And he can heal you or give support fire.
Never underestimate supporting fire.
This is where I need to buy the solid light power, so I don't have to carry you. It's always so awkward, no matter how strong you are. It's always a little awkward.
Oh, also,
Yes.
night shift, I'm sorry. Team goes stealth, and all of Unison kind of goes into a dark uniform. So they don't show up in the sky super easy.
Wouldn't a dark uniform show them up in the sky even worse? Wouldn't they all need to go blue?
Was it daytime?
Yeah, I figured it was up in the afternoon when they were doing this big powwow.
Oh, well then never mind. Their colors are going to
Just stay the same, okay.
stay the same because it's everybody's costume going to show up then.
So which unison members are going with Ray? It's novice and
You have novice because you can't carry multiple unconscious people at a time.
That's right. Okay, gotcha.
You just got one baby.
Yeah, Ray is not super strong.
Night shift looks at Recluse. Recluse, you need a baby?
Sure, why not?
Impulse throws night shift at you from
Yeah,
behind.
Night Shift.
Ooh, those little spider hairs are so prickly.
I mean, I've been trying to shave and holler.
If only they'd given you extra limbs.
Mr. Doodles.
Unit looks at toss up. Do you want me to go with you toss up so that
Sure.
someone is not thrown at you? All right.
No, Toss-Up throws himself at one of them because they can fly and he can't.
Hold me.
All right, team. Have a good nap, and then all the Unison members just flop, except Unit.
Celestial's just watching. Huh? Y'all all do look just the same.
Curious. I mean, does there a cover story for why?
Wait. Also, I meant to ask. How do you see their spirit? Like, do you see their spirits as them in costume?
He goes, yeah. The colors don't really translate,
Huh.
and they're all kind of connected to
Boy,
the gray one, but
oh boy.
I really got to be close to see the connections kind of linking back.
Unit just touches his head. Just a general reference, how many people heard Celestial Green say that?
Probably just y'all's team. The rest of the guys in the cockpit are talking amongst themselves and get ready to get out.
All right.
And he's not yelling it,
Yeah, Unit will look at Celestial Green. That is a secret. I want you to keep hidden, if you are at all possible to keep that.
Sure.
Because no one outside of us knows that.
Oh. And he kind of leans forward. They say you guys are all clones, but are you like the original or something? You know what? It's none of my business. But yeah, man. I'll keep any particulars of your abilities.
The connection between us is not something that is known by literally anyone else.
No problem, man. I'll keep it under wraps.
Thank you. As someone who works beside someone with a lot of interconnected friends, you understand both the thought process behind knowing that information. You know how dangerous it could be or how helpful it could be.
Yeah, well, that's one reason why the rest of my crew is so picky about their secret identities. I mean, me, I dare somebody to come after me or my family. My family's been living dangerously for years.
That's a quality. My family's been living dangerously for years.
Oh, that would have been a good one. It's not one of the ones I gave you, but it would have been good.
But all right, so we're ready to start the search.
Yeah.
All right. So just let me jot this down so I keep up with it. All right. So who is toss up with?
Unit.
A conscious unit.
All right. Yeah, because Unit's doing the carrying in that one. All right. Who's with Ray?
I've got novice.
An unconscious novice. Though y'all got the signal, a good shake or scream in his ear, he'll pop back up.
Because the bodies still have their sensory.
And Recluse has got
They're in
Night
sleep
shift.
mode.
night shift. All right. And then where are the rest of the Unison members going? Or are they just all going to sleep in the vehicle and then spreading out?
Yeah, they plan to stay in the vehicle projected.
Well, Hiroko's got control of the vehicle, so they've actually got somebody there kind of watching over him.
And give Hiroko the same signal of their bodies are still, able to receive signals. So a sharp enough noise, give a signal to sharp enough noise, they'll pop back immediately to their bodies and be able to take action.
No problem. I'll yell and hit the air horns if I need to get them up. Are any of the Unison members going with the Cybernetic 5?
Impulse, Overshield, and Skywatch.
Oh, it's all
no,
three.
I'm sorry. They're all unconscious. So yeah, okay. They do need to have a tenuous connection. I
mean, everybody's got comm links that y'all have synced up. Y'all all pick a frequency that everybody's units can pick up. So
yeah,
you can talk.
Unit will. Yeah, then Impulse will pop back up and be like, and go with them. But Unit will look at Impulse and go, "You threw night shift at Recluse, so you could go with the armored folks, didn't you?" Yep. Walk on with them.
All right, so Cybernetic 5. I'll just call him Cyber 5 for short. And who was it you said was going with him?
Impulse, the red one.
All right. Well, Impulse. So y'all all kind of split up. The Cybernetic 5, really 6 because Green's there too, but they're all leaping rooftop to rooftop. Despite them having mentioned that Green doesn't have any cybernetics, he doesn't seem to have any trouble keeping up with them in their jumping.
Look, he can see ghosts. He's something weird.
Oh yeah. He's clearly empowered. But you do notice, while the rest of them come down, they leap rooftop to rooftop, they ain't trouble. They come down kind of heavy.
Well,
as opposed to Green, who it's a very kind of light touch. Where the rest of them will land and kind of brace and leap again. Green is kind of it's kind of crouching tiger, hidden dragon, wire foo. It's just
I was just thinking that.
just the front part of his foot will hit and he'll just kind of spring off.
Now they're not being super stealthy about it, right?
I say they come down kind of heavy. It's not that they're making huge noises, though anybody inside the top floor of any of these buildings would probably hear it.
But also just like leaping rooftop to rooftop in colored suits in the middle of the day is not exactly stealthy, period.
No. Now somebody on the street
you know,
might not notice because how often do people on the street look up?
Yeah.
I mean, probably more
I mean,
in a world like
Impulse
this,
will-
but
Impulse will be using his flight in much a way of doing, fancy jumps and little spins in the air as he's going with them. Keeping it artistic,
yeah.
Oh, I'm back. I'm sorry. The baby farted so hard she scared herself.
I've done it before.
Oh.
I've actually seen videos of that where you hear the noise and the baby kind of startles and
Yeah.
What y'all been feeding that poor child?
Milk and oatmeal.
No, I wouldn't think that would do it. But then you wouldn't think newborns could take milk and turn it into a tar-like substance, but they can.
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised. That's terrifying. Poor little baby girl.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, y'all spread out. Give me. Let's see. Y'all are searching. And, you've been given the tag number. You've been given the pictures of the vehicle from the slightly grainy CCTV footage, but. Let me bring up somebody's character sheet so I can remember stat names.
Do you need awareness?
Yes, it would be awareness plus any specialty you have that you think would help with searching.
Investigation?
That would really be more compiling information, I think, than keeping on the lookout. I mean, maybe if you were on a stakeout, I'd let it count or something, but that's not exactly what's going on here. And let me give y'all a difficulty. All right, so y'all are looking. All right, now an 18 is a little too high. Hang on here. I added the modifier, but I did not select the correct die. So we'll roll a d6 instead of a d20. And it didn't go down that much.
The universe went into 5th edition mode.
All right.
So an 11 is the number y'all need to beat.
So pretty high.
Well, he rolled a 6 on the dice.
Recluse finds nothing.
Boom, baby. I am.
Oh,
I am living awareness. So.
Yeah, that's basically your super stat, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my big stat is a stat that does not help any of my abilities.
But it's useful to your skills and kind of the background you went with.
Right. It is useful because that is what my character is naturally amazing at. Because he has multiple pairs of eyes at all times.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing that makes sense. It's just not helpful in combat.
So you zip through. You're zipping through buildings, and sure enough, you pass through a. It's not really a warehouse. It's not that big. It's got roll-up doors, kind of like a big garage would. Though it appears to be more of a machine shop, but I guess they could pull vehicles in, or maybe get supplies delivered in, or whatever. But yes, this black van is sitting there. As you zip behind it, look, license plate matches up. This is clearly the van in question.
And
you poke your head inside, and the van's even got some weird equipment, stored in it.
All right, information goes to Unit and Impulse. Impulse tells Super Team. Unit tells S.P.E.A.R Team.
Let's all
Converge.
All right. So you guys meet up, on your way to meet up with the Cybernetic 6 or 5 or whatever they are.
5 plus 1.
Yes. Well, the 3 Musketeers were actually 4 of them through the whole book.
That's right.
One of them just wasn't technically a Musketeer till the end. So all the Spear guys have met up. Is anybody at ground level? Are y'all flying over the buildings to get there, or do y'all drop down to ground level to kind of, quote unquote, sneak up on them?
Can Toss Up fly?
He was being carried by a unit, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was being carried by unit, although I could easily whip up a jetpack.
For some reason, I was thinking we were unit and Toss Up with the ground.
You may very well have been. That angle would, somebody couldn't just park, under an overhang and hide their vehicle if y'all on ground level. So, but
let's see, Recluse could be swinging, which is above ground level, but quickly touches it.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more like going through the various alleyways.
Hmm.
Yeah, Recluse is ground level.
Okay. Well, anyway, y'all meet up at a corner here. I'm gonna scoot y'all over there. You land. You gotta okay. It's just a block or so away. As you're talking, you start hearing the sound of kind of almost a clacking. Kind of like if you've ever heard dogs run across hardwood floors, but it's like louder and heavier.
No.
And stuff comes running around various corners and out of broken doorways and buildings. Let me just. I've got it on the GM layer. Let me slap it on the token layer. And you see boars. It's big wild pigs are coming out of the.
Well, that was unexpected.
Night shift. Night shift, wake up. Wake up now, buddy. Wake up now.
Well, I mean, you're with the team now. Don't worry.
All right. Which one were you waking up?
Night shift.
Recluse had night shift. It's been long enough since I had to grab the. Oh, that's right. They don't have sheets. They are just in the art. Hindsight's 2020. Oh, if I could start it all over again, the better way I'd have my art tokens and stuff organized. Man, I'd be able to find them so much better. Oh wait, that's night shift. Yes, that night shift is the one I need. Okay. Now you'll notice on the map. At least I hope it's big enough that you can notice it on the map. Ooh. I need to zoom in Cambot a little bit more so people at home can see. Oh, and you can't see because for some reason it's showing up on my GM one and not on anybody else's. Hang on.
Yeah, we see pigs.
Well, some of the pigs are supposed to have a colored square around them. How do I make that visible?
Are the boars a standard boar size, or is there anything unusual that looks about them?
They are the usual size.
That scares me. Boars are very large beings.
Oh yeah, I mean they're decent sized animals. I don't know that the ones you have in Japan are necessarily larger specimen, in the overall boar family. But I mean you're super people, so
Side boars or anything like that. At least not visibly. So.
Sorry, I forgot about the boars not showing up without going into the advanced. All right, that should be all of them. So you should see that some of the boars have a little green square around them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Those boars are glowing green.
Ooh.
Like
there's a field of green light kind of around them.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't stretch out very far. They seem aggravated, like maybe you've invaded their territory or something. And just for the record, y'all can all thank Mike for this. He sent me an article about boars roaming around the old nuclear plant that went down.
I never ever expected a Japanese adventure to turn into an homage to Pig Hunt.
Only here the pigs hunt you.
Yeah.
One of the non-glowing
Which,
pigs.
if you haven't seen Pig Hunt, I recommend it.
I have not
Just,
seen
just
Pig Hunt.
saying.
I have seen videos of pig hunters, but hunting with tamarite.
It's just a fun B horror movie.
Ever seen Black Sheep?
No.
It's like a zombie apocalypse, except that it's cannibalistic sheep.
Ooh.
I think it's in New Zealand. I have a buddy that sings its praises, while admitting that it's a bad movie. All right.
Sure,
So anyway,
sheer terror.
one of the non-glowing ones, snorts really loud, opens his mouth, and a green beam arcs out towards y'all.
Oh,
Dear God.
But why though?
Cause radiation. And since you can't see the video, I did air quotes when I said that. Or I guess I should do air quotes when I say it's science.
that's science with a capital S and an exclamation point.
It's super science. It's really more of an art than a science. And you can all go ahead and give me initiative order or initiative rolls now, which will be your coordination.
Ha! Now with my improved coordination, I'm sure to not go last.
Yeah, the max roll.
Oh
Probably
wow!
helps, too.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good.
All right, the coordination for the radiant boars do not have good coordination. And for any of you that don't have it, I think either this morning or yesterday morning, I think Menagerie came out for the
Yeah.
in the icons line, which is where I got my boar stats.
Is it out?
Oh,
Is
Yes,
it out now?
it is out on.
I
drive-thru.
saw a plug for it, but it said, coming soon. So
They did that, and the next day I think it was out.
Yeah,
I was
when they
looking at
said
it while I
Sunday.
ate breakfast yesterday.
I wonder if they've got it on RPG drive-through.
Drive-throughs where I got
They
it.
do.
I don't know if the print on print
Yes, you can get it.
print on demand
You
is
can get it.
going yet or not. Okay, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got the PDF. It's how I prefer my monster manuals, truthfully. So yeah, I was on there last night going, do they have boar? Yes, they've got boar stats. We'll use those.
Sure.
And then, give them superpowers.
I forgot to reset.
I was very tempted to take a Tyrannosaurus and put the aquatic overlay on it after hearing about that Poseidon Rex movie. But I was like, no. People would be expecting giant monsters in your pan. My giant monster story arc is going on somewhere else. Alright. Did I roll? Yes, I rolled. Alright. So let me give everybody add a turns. And my piggy's going a 4. Independence Ray goes on a 10. Unison goes on a 12. Recluse goes on a 10. And Toss Up goes on a 10. A lot of 10s. In descending order. So top of the order is Unison.
So they're irradiated boars.
Looks that way. You got some that are glowing green, some that aren't, but one of the ones that aren't spit a bunch of green at you.
Gross. Impulse will ask real quick if there's any laws about like killing boars. Make sure Eunice doesn't do something illegal.
You're asking the other team.
Yeah, just real quick, like, hey, they're wild boars have showed up. Is it okay to just fight them, or should everyone pick up to the air again.
There are laws on hunting. However, they're in the city. You're defending yourself. And if they're in this area, they're probably irradiated. So, yeah, they probably need to be taken out.
Understood.
That would also have been something that briefed you on the ride over here, that this area is still radioactive. Not enough that you got to worry about it just hanging around short term. But that's why it's still empty. They haven't let people move back yet.
Yeah, there's just sections that are bad.
Right. Running around here for a day is not going to give you cancer, unless I guess you were already predisposed towards it, and already having issues. But anyway.
All right then. Night Shift will go ahead and pop a shot at the irradiated boar, kind of up and to the right of that building's corner.
Click on him and hold it down until I see. There we go. All right, I got you.
Right there.
Right here.
Right there. Ooh, that's a good start.
And he dodges with his coordination, which was a pretty good roll for him. But you still beat him by 6. So
with a new and improved 6 damage,
he goes away. Poor thing never stood a chance. Alright, I'm just going to delete him. Normally I'd put the X, but...
And unit will shoot the other irradiated one.
In that same little group right there?
Yeah, okay. Same location.
Alright. Alright, that one goes away.
And Novice will pop up and take a shot from the arms of Independence Ray onto the other irradiated board at the bottom left corner here.
I'm just picturing him slung over his shoulder, and he kind of grabs his neck to hold on to. It fires, whispers in his ear, "Never let me go." I would appreciate it if you would at least roll once a number low enough that I'd have the potential of beating it.
I would have to roll a 2 or lower. So I mean, statistically, it was unlikely to happen. It was less likely to happen than me succeed.
All right. And there's now another U on the board.
I mean, yeah, Novice is up and about now because combat is a thing that has happened.
Oh, and I should probably give you control over the...
Over my 3 boys.
Yippers.
We got control of Unison, obviously, but...
Yeah.
Unit, obviously.
Alright, that should have you Novice.
Yep.
And you should now have Night Shift.
Night Shift.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Alright, so that was Unison. Toss up.
So these black circles, I guess, are the boars, right?
Well, if you zoom in, it's boars' heads in the... And they should have a gold outline and then a picture of the boar's head inside. But yeah, I mean, it's like right here and right there and right there. There ain't quite as many as there was a while ago.
Well, I guess, are they close enough? Can I engage them in hand-to-hand combat?
Oh yeah, you can run up to one of them. Let's see. This one over here, to the furthest to the north, is probably a little far away to run to. But these two down here, you could definitely get to, and this one up here, you could definitely get to.
Yeah,
with still enough time to punch.
Yeah, I'll go to the south.
Okay.
Over there, and I will punch one of them.
right, so
or
that's
kick,
coordination.
whatever looks superhero-ish.
All right, so their prowess is a 4. All right, so the one you're trying to punch, kick, whatever. The one you're trying to kung fu, rolled a 7. All right, you beat it by 4, so that's quite a
My
success.
kung fu is strong.
It is. How much damage do you do?
Uh, my strength isn't so much. I just do 4 strength.
Okay. Well, these guys are counting as minions, so really any damage that gets through to them is enough to take them out. Recluse. Uh-oh.
All right, there we go.
Oh, okay.
I kept trying to unmute myself and it wouldn't work. All right. This last radioactive ball right up here.
Okay.
I'm covering it in web.
Oh, okay, you're snaring it. All right, and it resists that with its coordination. Let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You beat it by 4. It's a massive success. It is, or maybe that's a moderate success. Hang on. Because, yeah, 1 or 2 would be, yeah, moderate. 3 or 4 is a major. Okay. So I believe a major with the binding or snare, whatever it's called. Is that a full? Let's see. Super speed swinging. Let me find it. Binding. All right. A moderate support. Okay, major or massive is a complete hole. All right, so he is completely held. The only thing he can do is try to escape. And what is the strength of your webbing? 6.
Yes, sir. 6.
All right. So that is the strength that he'll have to try to beat.
And I'm gonna hit this one right up here with another web spray.
All right.
Oh.
And it gets out of the way. It saw what that silly string did to its buddy, so it hops out of the way. And then it is. Wait a second. Oh, I see what I did. Hang on. The boar that I had put in the initiative order is one of the ones y'all took out, and I deleted him, and then he disappeared off the order. So, let me scroll back up here and see where the initiative started. All right. Okay, a 4. So he was definitely going last. Descending order. All right. So now it is Independence Ray's turn, I believe.
All right. I would like to fly up to the one up and to the left, and basically just like fly towards it, emit a blinding dazzle ray, and then fly up again so that I'm not at street level. So,
all right, and this is.
I don't have control for my. Wait a minute, that's not my mini. There we go. So I'll put myself here, but I don't plan on staying at.
Okay. Now that's the one Zach is bound. That's the one he successfully bound.
Oh, that's the bound one? Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one over here is the unbound one, the one that he missed.
I see. You know what? In that case, I think we're going to try to... Yeah, I'll go ahead and target that one.
But you're doing the dazzle, basically?
That's right.
Alrighty, which I think is still a coordination to avoid.
It is. And I didn't generate a great total. Oh, good enough, though. So go with the 1. I believe that's. I just had that page open. That's a. Is that a marginal success or a moderate success? No, a moderate's at least 2 points over.
No, 1 to 2 is moderate. Marginal is when
good.
you tie.
Okay, well, that's good. I've dazzled that board for 1 page. Basically, what that means is it can't. +2 in difficulty for actions relying on sight.
Okay.
And yes.
So if it tried to attack you or anything like that, it's at a -2. Or you've got a +2, whatever.
Yeah.
However the math works out. And then it is the pig's turn. And the one you just blinded is going to try to spit radiation at you. Let's see, that's his coordination +1. Oh, I forgot to put the -2 on there though, so that's only a 4 you got to beat.
Okay.
All right, so you beat it. You beat it handily.
Yeah.
The boar up here is going to try to escape using his strength. Well, really his tusks, but that's the same. And I'm going to give it a +1 for his damaging aura. Zach, give me a D6 plus the strength of your binding. He's still trapped. You know, you see him use his tusk and saw through a few strands, but he's awkwardly positioned and can't really get it to enough of it to get himself loose. And then the one down here by Toss Up just tries to gore him because he's just right there on him. So that's his prowess.
So that's gonna be my prowess too, right?
It's gonna be prowess versus prowess because that is melee combat. Really,
but my martial arts still count for the dodge.
I believe so. Yes.
God.
All right, you beat him. So you kind of dance out of the way while he starts throwing his head around. And as he's doing that, you can see kind of a green glow in his mouth, like he's getting ready to attack with that. But you know, he was trying to catch you with his tusks. And
so I think I found the article you were talking about. I wanted to see what a Japanese boar looked like, and so the first thing that popped up was boars like overtake Japanese cities.
Yeah, I wonder if that was part of the whole feral hog.
Yeah, because of course I keep picturing, since I'm from Arkansas, or spent quite a bit of time in Arkansas, a giant feral man, bigger than a man, razorback.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're not quite.
Yeah, they
that
are
big,
not tiny.
But they are not. Yeah, these are not as small animals, but they're not gigantic or anything. And I believe boars are native to the islands. It's been a big part of their.
Yeah, there are Japanese boars.
Yeah, boars have been a big part of their.
They're much cuter than razorbacks.
But I have seen. Oh, let's see. With all the pandemic stuff going on, I forget where it was, but it was like one of your kind of tropical resort towns that is about deserted now. That gangs of monkeys are just roaming the streets fighting each other over food because the tourists aren't there to beat them.
I heard about that too, yeah.
Somewhere in England or Scotland, I mean, same general area, but somewhere over there, I forget exactly which town. They haven't been maintaining like the yards and stuff quite as much, and you've had mountain goats coming down, eating the shrubbery and stuff.
I want a goat from my backyard. I'm just saying.
Yeah, really.
Front yard, is easy enough to mow. The backyard's kind of big. It's like get a goat.
But then you got goat poop, which no more than I go in my backyard would be a fine.
Yeah, I
trade-off.
don't really go in my backyard a lot. The other alternative is to just pave the entire backyard and put in a swimming pool and hot tub. I'm all for that. Heck.
Expensive, but other than that, it does not sound like a bad idea. All right, well, that's all our piggies. So back to Unison.
There are 3 pigs left.
There's three little pigs left.
There's 3 left.
Yes.
Hey, they're dead.
Yeah, I don't think they can block that. Which is fine. We got about 4 minutes left, so that does not actually too bad a thing.
Roll 20, you silly son of a gun.
This little piggy went wee wee. Wee.
What'd you roll? I rolled 3 times. What'd you get? 665. Well, all right then.
So they all go down.
So.
Now it's debatable whether your T-blast is actually killing them or whether you're just knocking them out, but they're no longer your problem. Is the important thing.
Yep.
And look, examine them closer. Some of them look normal. Some of them are very clearly got like cancerous growths on the outside and stuff. So, they may have gotten superpowers. They are not in good health.
So, looks like they've been irradiated, not cybernetically enhanced.
Right. This is a comic book world. Clearly, this was radiation.
Yes.
In another section of the town, approaching the building y'all are headed towards, Impulse is basically helping the Cybernetic 6 or 5 deal with another group of boards. There's apparently just squads of them things around here. They're taking them out with equal efficiency. A couple of them get a little hurt because they run up to Kung Fu, one of the glowing ones, and yeah, that's like a damaging aura.
Oh.
Celestial Green has the easiest time with him because he generates that spirit sword of his, and he can get him at a little bit of a distance. And of course, Impulse is just, blasting.
Pew 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 pew. I don't know. Impulse would probably want to lift at least one above his head. Well, no, they're irradiated.
Yeah, the ones that shoot beams don't seem to be giving off radiation. It's like they internalize it and then let it out at once. Where the other glowing ones that don't have any other range attacks seem to just be kind of irradiating it out all the time. So yes, he'd grab one of the non-leaking ones and hoist it up over his head. At one point, the rest of the team, though, starts... there's abandoned vehicles on the street. Yeah, some of them grab an abandoned vehicle and just start squashing them. They're not happy about it, but they're like, some of these things were looking sick and cancerous anyway, so putting them down and out of their misery probably not a bad thing. And that lets you see, too, that with the exception of Celestial Green, everybody on the team is capable of picking up a car. They're not throwing them around like they're toys. There's some effort to it, but they can pick up a car. By your estimations, they're probably as strong as Recluse was when he was starting out, or when you first met him. You continue on to this machine shop building. Y'all just go barge in, or do you go a little bit stealthier?
I think being stealthy will actually behoove us just a little bit. But,
I agree.
Okay.
Are there any side windows Recluse could crawl up and add out what's inside?
Let's see. The front has a series of roll-up doors that are all shut. There's a normal doorway in. That's got a window. You see like a little office entry, reception desk kind of thing. As far as windows on the side, there's no windows, but if you go all the way up to the top, there's a big van vent there. With a fan in it. It's to circulate air when people would be in there working on the machinery and stuff.
Yeah.
He could definitely crawl up there and peek in through that. The fan is not currently going.
Everybody okay with me doing that?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Gonna sneak up there.
All right. Give me a stealth roll.
Oh, I'm not actually trained in stealth. Huh.
Can I take
But
that?
you got a good coordination, so.
Oh.
Well, how about that? So you get up there, you peek in, you're looking right at a camera.
I wave.
Well, the camera is turned away from you, but kind of as you cast a slight shadow, it starts to rapidly turn and you duck back out of the way. And you can hear the little servos as it's now looking around. So it didn't get a good look at you, but it gets the impression that something may have been there. Because you're tied, so you may have put somebody manning that camera on edge, but they didn't actually see that you're there. And if you want to crawl up above it and kind of peek in.
Yeah.
Unit will politely put his comm on. Hey, Recluse, do you want me to put a ghost in there?
Might not hurt.
Okay.
Well, you had one of your ghosts, or was that one of the ones that got woke up? That was one of the ones that got woke up, wasn't it? We'll say that was one of the ones that got woke up. So. You zip a ghost in there. You still see the van. The rest of the place still seems to be empty.
Probably in the basement, whatever's going on.
Now, knowing what kind of cameras to look for, well, if you go up there and look at what Recluse work looking at, but if you poke around, you'll find 2 more cameras. One that looks out the other side, and then one is just up in the rafters, just looking at the van. There's you could get into the building without being seen, but if you went around the van, they would notice.
So, do we want me to just do the old hand over a camera trick?
Sure.
I kind of think if we're not seeing anything else, I'm gonna guess they're in a basement.
Or we could just stake out the van.
It sounds like we could go get to check in the basement, avoiding the van, and still surprise them. Or we could stake out the van.
I'll throw a ghost in a basement.
I'm just concerned, they abducted a kid recently and they could be dissecting them or doing God knows what to them right now.
There's no dissection, I promise. Vivisection, maybe. Alright, so you send a ghost down to the floor?
Yeah, let's put a ghost in the basement.
At first, you zip down and it's like what you'd expect at street level. Okay, here's the sewer system. That's weird. There's like a pipe, I mean, it's big round, but basically like a cylinder that seems to be coming down from the building above through the sewer system and then deeper down. You zip through that. It's an elevator type setup. And you get down into a high-tech facility.
And unit is, handing that information over to the rest of the team.
And let's see, it's right just after 4 now.
Yep.
So you pass into one of the bigger rooms, and you see on the wall is a line of liquid-filled tubes. Each of them has got a, teenager to 20-ish. Clearly, it's the missing folks. They all fit that age range. They are all suspended in the liquid. They've got breathing masks type things on them, with tubes attached to them. You can see little readouts that are showing their heartbeat, their respiration. But you also see tubes in their arms that appears to be extracting blood from them. And it comes out of the cylinders they're in, and the tubes run down into some sort of storage device. It doesn't seem to be, from what you can tell on the outside at least, it doesn't seem to be sorting the blood into individual containers. It's like everybody's blood just getting dumped into this thing.
That's interesting.
And the creature manning this machine does not appear to be remotely human. And it's clothed and stuff, but it's not. It doesn't have the regular human body plan.
What does it look like?
We'll get to that next week. We're going to cut off right there.
there.
This inhuman thing is noting
So
how much
I
blood is
think-
draining out of.
I think I know what we're running up against.
It was. Yeah, I am introducing some player made content here,
Okay.
and yeah, you probably are the one that I would know what this is.
It sounded very similar.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap up here. Next session, we should wrap up this little storyline. Depending on if things go along. So anyway, hope y'all had fun. I enjoyed running. Anybody come by to watch this later, hope you enjoyed it. If you've never played Icons, I'd recommend checking it out. It's been out for several years now. There's quite a bit of material out there, both from the original creators and third-party people, including the newest book, Menagerie, which covers all sorts of different, animals, mythological creatures, dinosaurs, templates you can add onto them to make, weird stuff like my Radiant boar. Let's see. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Do this again. I've been your GM for the day, Jason. And with me has been Mike playing Independence Array, Curtis playing Toss Up, Zach playing Recluse, and Taylor playing the many members of Unison. And we will see you next time.
Bye bye.